You're not a famous author.
How's it going? Heads up. I had a medical procedure done this morning on my back, and I'm a little out of it. Not a little bit out of it. I'm basically off my nut on pain pills, which I don't normally do, and I'm kind of laying in my house bedroom. My wife had to pick me up. Well, first she had to drop me off and then pick me up from the VA, and I'm bored, but I also can't move. And so I got my work laptop on the floor, and I figured, screw it, I got nothing else to do. So I figured I watch this with you for the first time. Jackie goes bankrupt. I don't like Jackie. I dislike her more than Patrick and other people. I think she's a grifter. I think she gives a bad name to veterans and so on. And this is from Cryptic Web Chronicles, who makes a lot of content. If this individual has an issue with this video, I'm going to delete it. I don't want to try to steal their content. And more importantly, if you have an option between watching this video or this individual's video, please watch this individual's video. Please like and subscribe. The reason you don't see the subscribe button is when I make videos, I'm always in incognito mode. I am already a subscriber, hence I know about this video.
You don't even
I
know
have
what
to
that means, right? You're
apologize.
not
I
a
don't have my
famous
hearing
author.
aids in,
You're
so
just a
I'm going to be
regular guy.
reading the text to speech. I might be behind.
Hello, and welcome to Cryptic Web Chronicles. Today, we're taking another look at a familiar figure
Oh,
we've covered previously, Jackie
it's always amazing to me how much Jackie uses the filters and stuff.
Singh. For those who aren't familiar, Jackie entered the Patrick Tomlinson saga when she unexpectedly emerged as an aggressive ball washer and staunch defender of Patrick online. Since then,
I'm going to say this real quick. I don't think Jackie started following Patrick because she wanted to defend Patrick. I think she's a grifter. I think she started doing this um, for whatever reason to try to sell herself to other people that she's like this IT guru slash security expert kind of thing. I think that's why she kind of wormed her way into Patrick. I think this is and I think even on some level, Patrick recognizes this, which is why hit Jackie and Patrick do butt heads from time to time.
she has vowed to take down the O and A forums, frequently making delusional threats and claims about arrests and prison time for trolls. Much like Patrick, I thought it would be fitting to provide a quick rundown of what has happened since she began her crusade against Tomlinson's trolls, highlighting just how idiotic and juvenile her behavior has been.
I don't think her behavior is idiotic and juvenile per se. I think it's very cold and calculated. I think it's very cold and calculated.
In August 2023, it was alleged online that Jackie Singh had accumulated over $70,000 in debt across various credit card companies, including American Express, Discover, and Citibank. In addition, it was claimed that she owed another $70,000 to the IRS for unpaid taxes, bringing her total alleged debt to nearly $150,000. Around the same time, Jackie
Really quick, if I'm pausing this in between sentences, I apologize because again, I'm totally dependent on the text speech. Uh, that quote unquote staggering amount of debt that Jackie, personal debt from credit cards and all that Jackie has amassed, unfortunately, that is not like totally out of the insane ballpark for a lot of veterans. For a lot of folks in the military, what a lot about the military sucks. I'll be real with you. A lot about the military sucks. But the one thing about the military is you will not starve. You get your housing, your food, and your medical care taken care of for yourself and your immediate family. Those are the three largest expenses for the American household. So if you have a job that takes care of these three, you can imagine how much trouble you can get into if you don't learn how to balance a budget. I used to always tell my guys when I was in the military, the guys that worked for me as an NCO, you're never going to get rich in the military, but you're never going to starve. And unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people are like, how the frick does she get this much debt? The military, you can, because you don't learn good life skills. It's not like the real world. You go to any military town, and it's the night before payday, and you will see military IDs all along the back of the bar. And it's the men and women who are in the military where they're like, yeah, I know, I got a tab. Here's my military ID. Here's my credit card or I'm sorry, my debit card for the Army bank or the Navy Exchange Bank or whatever, or the Air Force, and so on. And so they take both of those, and then as soon as it's last call at 2 o'clock in the morning, they start running everything. I knew a lot of men and women, or I should say a lot of men. I didn't have women in my unit where, they would live paycheck to paycheck. So, this sounds like a crap load of debt for somebody to have. Unfortunately, it really isn't. For a lot of the individuals that I'm trying to help out through the VA, where they've been out for 4 or 5 years, they never learned any kind of financial personal responsibility, and the bad practices and behavioral patterns just continue. It's unfortunately not that unusual.
Attempted to dox the son of a federal judge, accusing him of being none other than Quasi, the admin of O&A forums. She even contacted several Milwaukee area news stations in an unsuccessful attempt to expose him.
That's the thing that really bugs me about Jackie. She's always trying to dox people, which I think that's her kind of way of. I don't even think she's trying to get a job at this point. I think it's just for upvotes on social media. It's really disturbing to me.
By September, O&A forums users began claiming that her husband, Jason Shore, also had more than $15,000 in credit card debt. Jackie, meanwhile,
I am going to defend her husband or whatever, $15,000 in credit card debt. Let's be honest. That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. That's literally like a minor medical expense that you don't have insurance for. Like 15 grand. It's the unfortunate reality with modern life. 15 grand in credit card debt is not really a lot. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's good at all, but it's really not that. It's not Jackie territory.
engaged in public disputes and exhibited increasingly erratic behavior online, raising concerns about her mental stability. Despite this, she was invited to be a keynote speaker at the OWASP convention in October 2023.
So, keynote speakers, I've done this in the past. I've done this for IEEE and so on. When they have these symposiums, these conferences and stuff, the conferences are usually really, really, really hurting for people that can present. So if it's a well-established conference, like for my case, IEEE, it's a real honor to be invited to IEEE. And I have spoken at IEEE. It's one of those things where I freed up my schedule and so on. But there was like three kind of ranks of people at IEEE. There are those that were invited that the IEEE conference was paying for everything. I was not that person. I fully admit I was not that person. Those are for people that have published like scientific papers, which I have, but that was not exactly why I was invited. These are big name people. These are people, and again, IEEE is for engineers. These are individuals that like have written major papers or individuals that like there's a chance the random person on the street might recognize them. Then the second tier are individuals where they're inviting you to speak, but you have to kind of, and they'll offer you like hotel accommodations and so on, but they're not going to pay you for it. The first tier, those people get paid. Those superstars get paid. If I wasn't clear about that, I apologize. Again, I'm a little bit off on this medication. So first tier, those are people that are paid. These are folks that can get like 50K for a speech engagement or speech presentation and stuff. Second tier, they're not going to pay you, but they'll set you up at a hotel. They'll give you like an expense account kind of thing. They want you there. Third tier are the people where they're not paying for nothing. You basically ask for podium space. You figure out how to get there. Fine. They'll let you talk. I firmly believe that Jackie was the third tier. I don't think Jackie was paid to give it talk. I don't think Jackie was comped for anything. Those are kind of the three tiers. And then there's sort of a fourth tier, but those are like companies that are trying to sell shit, and so they'll get like table floor and stuff, or table floor space. I apologize. I don't think this is going very well. Again, this has been a long time since I've been on pain meds, so I apologize for how bad I'm sounding and how incoherent.
Where she gave a presentation focused on Patrick Tomlinson, who, as you already know, is a fat lolcow frequently trolled and pranked online. When the speech was released the following month, it was widely criticized, with many accused.
It's amazing how different she looks from the photos that she posts online with all the filters versus anytime you see her in public.
Accusing Jackie of promoting unsubstantiated conspiracy theories.
Here we go. Let me go back here. So I decided to go into that obscure forum where these individuals were organizing and to run some recon about what was actually going on in there, right? And after spending some time looking...
Okay, I gotta stop this real quick. One, Jackie's actually a pretty decent speaker. I'm gonna give her credit for that. I've been to a number of conferences and stuff where the people presenting the material are so gosh darn bad. You're like, this is the first time they've ever been outside in public almost. Again, I'm an engineer, so that engineers were all awful people to be around. The thing that she says in this sentences she's saying that really triggers me is when she says recon. And this is the kind of stuff that I don't know how I want to say this. I guess grifters, honestly. People that are playing off of being in the military, trying to sound like they did more stuff than they actually did. They'll use these words like recon. You know, they know that there's a connotation with using a word like that. It feeds into an audience. It creates an image that is not necessarily true kind of thing. And it's like, literally, you just joined a forum. Like, come on, lady.
Looking through the forum and gathering information about its participants, I came to the realization that this truly was a harassment cult, just as the victim had...
She uses the term cult. I apologize again if I pause it while she's talking. I'm completely on text, on the subtitles here. The term cult is a very, very loaded term. It is so loaded that people that actually cover religious sects and actual, quote unquote cults don't use that term anymore. It's got a lot of negative, terrible connotations. It's on par with how retardation used to be a medical term, and they don't use it anymore because it's entered commonplace lexicon, and it no longer means what it used to mean. So when she calls a message board a cult, and it's like probably the way she's going to define this, that defines every single message board. It probably defines Twitter. It's a meaningless term. I shouldn't say it's a meaningless term. It's a term with negative connotations. She's doing this on purpose. And I want to be clear, I have never been on this forum or whatever. The last forum I was on was Reddit. I lasted about 2 months before I thought it was stupid. I am not a forum person. I don't like forums. Can't handle them.
Described it. And it had all the key features of a distinct internet culture with its own history, characters, language, in-jokes, memes focused on their targets, right? Social networks, and distribution channels for content. And in fact, this harassment cult that had been tormenting Patrick and gaining steam for several years had this forum as its key social network, a self-hosted forum running on Zenforo software. And when I
She literally just described every single social media website. She just described it. There's weird in rules, there are inside jokes, there's a hierarchy, there's all this shit. That's every single flipping website. That doesn't mean a website is a cult. Cult means a specific, well, it used to mean a specific thing. It doesn't anymore, which is why researchers don't use that term.
I found inside there was absolutely disgusting. It's a cesspool of awful, deranged personas, right? Hate speech in every thread, racism of.
Thank you, Cryptic Web Chronicles. Exactly. She's a member of GNAA, one of the worst organizations that ever existed on the internet. This is like somebody from like Stormfront saying that people on Twitter use no language, and it's like, yeah, no kidding. That's a problem. I'm not saying it's a problem that should be handled by the government or by anybody else. It's a problem where maybe you don't want to be there. But the answer is always, you were on Stormfront. So, like, kind of piss off. It's the same thing whenever I think about Jackie talking about racism online, harassment online, and so on. It's like, you were a member of one of the most notorious troll group, or I'm not even sure if she was a member. She was a hanger-on for one of the most notorious, hateful troll groups that ever existed. Like, kind of move on with this pearl clutching kind of crap.
Of every stripe, anti-Semitism, anti-woman, anti-queer, anti-trans, anti-human. Literally anything awful you can think of has been represented there in explicit detail. And I will not disturb you with graphic visuals of their content. But as examples, they had a long thread of popular.
I'm not going to bother you with examples, but take my word for it. What does that mean? What is that? This is one of those things, like these. I'm getting triggered. As somebody that has been peer-reviewed and published, writing scientific journals and stuff like this, and presented my writings, my research in front of my, not necessarily my entire industry, but the heads of my field and so on. It's triggering to me when you get these bullshit fly-by-night, quote-unquote symposiums where it's you have a presenter who's just like, yeah, just take my word for it. Just take my word for it. It's like, that's not how it works. It's not how research works.
Celebrity Lucy Lawless with swastikas photoshopped on her body. They had a Jew hate thread that they regularly bump to the top of the forum, which runs hundreds of pages. I've seen them work AI transformations to turn photos of their targets into racist caricatures. And of course, 400,000 posts about their celebrity crush, Patrick Tomlinson. Despite
what she's just described is any forum, like any forum, whether it's a hard right forum, hard left forum, or something like Reddit, anything. What she has just described is Reddit. Like, what do you want to happen? You want to just neuter the internet? Imprison people for posting anything that offends you? Like, the easier answer is for you to just log off.
these users being Nazis in all but name.
In December 2023, things took another turn when chat logs from Jackie's time in the Gay Association of America, a racist trolling group she was allegedly involved with in the early 2000s, resurfaced online. These logs are alleged to show Jackie's frequent use of...
I'm going to come out and say this. I don't know if necessarily people will agree with me. Some folks might have an opinion where I'm like anti-free speech and so on. I'm a big believer in free speech. I don't believe the government should clamp down on people for their speech unless it's criminal speech. And what Jackie is showing is obviously not criminal speech. I will say this right now. If Jackie was in my unit, man or woman, regardless of rank, if they were below me, and I was shown stuff like this, I would have Article 15 Jackie in a heartbeat. I would have made an example out of her. This is the kind of crap that can cause a real division in a unit. And especially if you're going into combat, you cannot have this shit. One of the most frustrating things I had in Afghanistan, where we're trying to train up Afghan military units to where you're just like, guys, please, for the love of God, we're trying to pull you idiots out of the Stone Age. And I'd have a group of individuals that me and my guys are trying to train up. And I would tell them, all right, we're going to simulate one of your battle brothers being hurt. So half of you guys over here, you're injured. You guys over here, pick them up, carry them across, 50 feet or 50 yards and bring them back. And I'd run into this, so I'm not picking him up. Why are you not picking him up? I'm pushed him. I don't help it. I'm pushed him. Yeah, but he's your battle brother. He's in your unit. You have to do that. Nope. I will not help out a Pushtin. The ethnic and racial divides in Afghanistan were so insanely stark to where it's not even an ethnic and racial divide. There'd be a language divide and stuff. And it's like just dealing with that kind of crap. This kind of shit in the U.S. military is absolutely not tolerated. If this came out when Jackie was on active duty, she would most certainly have been separated out of the military with an Article 15. This kind of shit is not tolerated because people in the U.S. military were from all different socioeconomic backgrounds. I am not saying that it's all kumbaya and we love each other and we're all friends and yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying that I didn't run into people that were racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, whatever the shit. I ran into that. Those people did not get very far, and they learned really, really, really quickly. You better tuck that shit deep inside. Do not let it known. Do not let it known. And like, it's a real problem to have this kind of stuff in your background because it's one of those things you can't walk back from. You just can't. It's one of those things where if I could talk to Jackie one-on-one, like, why would you think that was appropriate? How have you changed since then? Like, have you taken ownership for this? This is the big thing that I get bugged by Jackie. She's never taken ownership for any of this crap. It's her history. It's her record. It's her background. And her answer is thumbs or fingers in the air, la, 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 that never happened. Okay, you never learned from it. You never grew. You're a piece of shit.
Offensive hate speech and racial slurs, as well as inappropriate interactions with underage boys. They also showed Jackie had close contact with an infamous white supremacist hacker by the name of Weave. Additionally, some of the...
Seriously, by default, if you are friends with, you hang out with this Weave mother, by default, no one should listen to you about anything ever.
Messages in these chat logs brought her educational and military background into question.
So Jackie's military background really, really, really triggers me. Um, she doesn't do it anymore, but she used to heavily imply that she was an intelligence. She handled high-end intelligence analysis and stuff while she was on active duty in Iraq. We don't have enlisted people doing that. That's a load of crap. Furthermore, based on the resume that Jackie released online, Jackie didn't serve enough time in the military to ever be forward deployed. I don't think Jackie ever stepped foot in Afghanistan. And again, I have to drive home the point. Jackie's MOS, that's the military occupational series, her job, she was a wheeled vehicle mechanic. We have to do way more active time than Jackie did. Jackie did not do her active time. I don't know the nature of her discharge. There's really no way for me to know this unless Jackie shared her DD-214, which is our discharge paperwork. I will say this, the limited amount of time that it appears that Jackie was ever on active duty, there is no way that she ever got her benefits, including her uh, GI Bill benefits, which is one of the reasons that I think Jackie went heavily into debt. I think she tried to pay for school on credit cards, never finished school, probably got a bullshit. I believe her original degree was film study, which is remarkably stupid. And I don't think I think Jackie did anywhere between 12 to maybe 36 months of active duty, which is way too short to get any kind of positive discharge. And what I mean by positive discharge, I mean a general discharge and above. So I don't think she has really any benefits from from the military unless she's made some kind of injury claim.
On Christmas Eve 2023, Jackie launched a new project, a web forum called Threats.watch, reportedly designed to collaborate with left-wing activists in doxing members of the Kiwi Farms and O&A communities. However,
I want to drive home the point. Jackie is the total package. Jackie is not mocked and made fun of and effed with from people just on the right wing. It's not conservatives. It's not racist. It's not just hard right people. It's people on the left. Jackie has to block people across the political spectrum. Anybody with a pulse and a common sense are considered to be enemies of Jackie. This is why Jackie is now tweeting out that if you have any kind of relationship, if you're an Eastern European or if you have any relationship with an Eastern European, you are clearly a pawn of Russia and that you should be harassed online. That's what she's trying to get her random weird minions to do.
this mysterious forum remained closed to the public. I should remind you that throughout this entire saga, Patrick Tomlinson was repeatedly targeted by swatting incidents, leading both him and Jackie to insist that the O&A forums were responsible. However, it was eventually uncovered that an individual known as Tor Swats was behind these swattings. This 17-year-old from California was arrested for his crimes after it was discovered he had been operating a swatting for hire service on the dark web, making false 911 calls in exchange for cryptocurrency.
I apologize if I'm not pausing this correctly again. I don't have my hearing aids in, so I'm kind of guessing when to stop it based on the video and on the closed captioning. I know I don't have to say this, but I'm going to say it every single time. Patrick doesn't deserve to be swatted. No one deserves to be swatted. The people that do swatting deserve at least 5 years in the federal pen. I'm talking no early out. I'm talking no probation. I mean 5 hard years. And then when they are out, as a requirement for their release, they cannot have any access to technology that could be used in any way, shape, or form that could cause a swatting. I mean no phones, no smartphones, no computer, no internet. I really, really, really have a dim view on swatters. It's the same kind of thing where people talk about like they're not happy with somebody online. They're talking about get child protective services to get their kids taken away. Like I say this as a parent, F you. Like, swatting has gotten people killed, gotten pets killed. We're talking like children have been flashbanged to death because of a bullshit swatting. Um, and I just, it triggers me. Now, the difficult thing with Patrick is it's very, very hard to know what with Patrick is an actual swatting and what he has played up. Um, and the way he handles his swattings is a carbon copy, perfect explanation of how you do not want to handle being swatted. Patrick advertises it to the entire world, shows the world how upset he is, how much it has affected him, and da 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 da. And it's like that's not how you should be doing it, man. And Patrick, I firmly believe, has been taking incidences that are clearly not swattings and made them to the internet as swattings. I also think that Patrick has taken incidences unrelated to himself and claimed that he was swatted. And so, like, it's very, very hard to get a clear picture with Patrick. I also believe that Patrick has got some sort of mental problem. He's an idiot. So, but anyone that does any kind of swatting, whether it's to somebody that you like or dislike, you're a piece of shit. And I don't want to get my channel banned, but I kind of think you deserve the wall.
Yeah, an arrest affidavit from Seminole County in Florida lists Norman as a location with hoax calls that could be tied to 17-year-old Alan Fillion, who is now sitting behind bars.
False report concerning planning a bomb, explosive, or use of a weapon of mass destruction.
This 17-year-old from California is being charged after evidence from the FBI.
What a little piece of shit. I will say this as a parent. One of the things that keeps me awake at night is imagining that I've raised my son when he turns 17 and he does something like this. I don't know anything about this Alan's parents. I cannot imagine that they don't feel anything but shame and horror as to the little shit that they've created in the world.
FBI and Seminole County's Sheriff's Office in Florida shows Fillion made swatting calls across the nation. Our sister station in Florida in the courtroom for his first appearance this week. The call he's charged with.
I'm sorry, when your kid looks like this at 17, you kind of done screwed up.
Now simulated a shooting at a mosque outside Orlando.
I'm going to commit a mass shooting in the name of Satan.
That call came.
Oh, screw this kid. Like, seriously, F this kid. What a freaking neckbeard.
From May, just 1 month after a similar call simulating a shooting on OU's campus.
By January 2024, Jackie began to erroneously take credit for the arrest of Torswats, whom she had previously targeted. She later paywalled an article detailing her supposed role in the arrest and claimed that
this is one of those things that like these scammers do. They'll paywall content, an article, implying that they were involved in something when they really freaking weren't. I have a very, very dim view on people that make their money off the internet kind of thing. It's like, yeah, like the whole thing I don't like about Jackie is like, Jackie, if you were this network security brilliant guru, you would be doing that for a living. You wouldn't be on social media effectively LARPing for pennies.
O&A would be her next target. However, when official arrest documents were later released, Jackie was reportedly described by law enforcement as a self-styled security researcher, and her conclusions were said to be inconsistent with the FBI's evidence. This revelation led to
Okay, what the FBI apparently told her was along the lines of what they're basically admitting and what they're officially saying is like Jackie probably came really, really, really close to where she's so disruptive to an investigation. They probably contacted her and said, "You need to stop. You need to stop. Like you are causing us issues."
even further embarrassment for Jackie. Might I remind you that, as part of Jackie's so-called research, she publicly accused a random Swedish man of being Torswats, doxing him without any evidence to support his connection to the case. Then,
This was so dark. The way she went after this poor Swedish guy. Um, it's uh, just stop and imagine how much damage Jackie could do to you. Like what she could do to me. Like if I have a video on my channel where I talk about my I think it was my junior year in college, maybe it was my junior/senior year, where I was in the Women's Engineering Society, and we had a new professor put in charge, or uh, as our school advisor, and she had a real issue that a man was the treasurer for the Women's Engineering Society, and this just caused me so much. Just it was a nightmare to deal with, and it was one of those situations where, like now, if somebody pulled something like this, I would have sued that professor into oblivion. I would have sued the professor. I would have sued the engineering school. I would have sued the university. I would have sued every single one of those students that were messing with me. I couldn't do this at the time because I didn't have any money. But here is the horrible, frightening thing about Jackie. You can't sue Jackie. She has negative net worth. You're not going to win anything. You're going to spend more money trying to get her to stop than you would if you just try to ignore her. And I really, really, really feel bad about this Peter guy. He didn't do anything wrong other than the fact that Jackie's a moron and she connected dots that there was no connection. And I just, God bless the dude for putting up with this. What a nightmare.
in February 2024, online allegations surfaced.
He wasn't even, I'm sorry, I'm going to rant a little bit more. He wasn't even putting up with it. Like, it's one of those things. He doesn't even have an option to put up with it. He's just in a situation where he's just got to hope it goes away. There's nothing he can do. And God bless the dude. Like I can't imagine being in his situation. He did nothing wrong. She had her underlings, her weirdos online, contacting his parents and the government of his country to try to get him into legal issues. Like, good Lord.
That Jackie may have
What a
created a
nightmare.
fake Telegram server in an effort to bolster her hacker credentials. It was further
I remember this. This was insane to me. Her creating that fake server. That was I it's hard for me to even talk as a parent. This would be like if some random weirdo online to go after pedophiles created a child sex abuse material message board to try to capture them, like To Catch a Predator kind of thing, which that show itself was a legal nightmare. And it's like, what the frick are you doing, Jackie? This is insane. This is how you get on an FBI watch list.
alleged by O&A forums users that she had cheated on her ex-husband, accrued hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and had been relying on welfare for years. By March, the fake Telegram channel linked to Torswats was reportedly shut
So
down,
messed up.
and it was widely speculated online that Jackie herself had been running the channel. Soon after, her own website, Threats.watch was taken offline, signaling a significant setback in her cybersecurity persona. While Jackie spoke extensively about this project, it seems that it ultimately amounted to nothing, despite her months of effort on it. By summer, after these developments had reverberated online, things with Jackie appeared to settle down. However, in September of 2024, yet another major bombshell would be dropped. New filings uncovered by Kiwi Farms users revealed that Jackie was bankrupt.
I'm not sure what Kiwi Farm is. I'm assuming it's another message board thing. I fully admit, other than Twitter, I don't follow anything. So if anyone can fill me in, I'm assuming it's a message boards thing. It's probably a message board that Jackie upset.
Unemployed and owed over $277,000. These documents paint a
Yep, that's a lot of money. $277,000. Whew. Over $250,000. It's not. I volunteer with my wife to do taxes with our church every April. If I'm in town, my wife does it because she doesn't have to travel for work. If I'm in town, I'll do it. And I'm not saying $277,000 of back taxes and debt is not the largest number I've ever seen, but it is pretty close.
dire picture of Jackie's
Especially for somebody in Puerto Rico. Cost of living in Puerto Rico is really, really low.
finances, suggesting that if her situation worsens, God forbid, she may no longer be able to provide for her two daughters. Some speculate that there may already be developments occurring behind the scenes regarding this situation, and that Jackie could potentially face losing custody of her children.
I'm going to chime in. You're not going to lose custody of your kid due to back taxes. And I'm going to say this right now. You don't deserve to lose custody of your children for back taxes. I got pulled from my family when I was 14. My dad beat the shit out of me. He knocked out my baby teeth, like all my remaining baby teeth. And I got sent off to school. It was a Tuesday, and I got sent off on the Wednesday morning, a bloody, messed up mess. And I'm going to school in Baltimore, and it was enough to where social services get called, which is, it takes a lot in Baltimore City, in Northeast Baltimore, for social services to get called. My parents are still alive. I have no real relationship with them. If my father was able to stand, I'd probably throw a punch and try to break his jaw. That said, I ended up in foster care. And I did that from the age of 14 until I aged out at 18. This was not because the state of Maryland was like, your parents are too effed up, we're not letting you go move back in because they have arrest records, they're violent, alcoholic, and crackheads. It was literally my parents refused to take me back. So out of my 4 siblings, I was the only one that didn't come back. When I got picked up by Child Protective Services, me and my 4 siblings all got put into foster care. My parents picked up all my younger siblings and they left me there. I hate my parents. Like, I legitimately hate my parents. I've never, ever even considered allowing my son to meet his grandparents, nor my siblings, other than my youngest brother, who's the only one that has a job and a family and isn't a criminal with a arrest record longer than they are tall. To be fair, the 4th kid, my second sister, she disappeared when she was like 17. So for all I know, she's dead in a row home kind of thing. My family didn't even do a missing person report. I found out about this when I was years after it happened, kind of thing. This is how messed up of a family I am from. When I was in foster care, I would have given my left arm to go back to my family. I'm not trying to make it sound like the foster care system is full of child abusers and all that shit. Because to be honest with you, while I did not like the foster care system, it was better for me than my parents. I will tell you this right now, as a kid, I would have done anything to get back with my family. So anybody thinking about messing with Jackie, specifically her kids, and trying to get her kids taken away, this is not what the kids want. Please, for the love of God, don't mess with her kids. Don't mess with kids. Don't. You might think, like I do, that Jackie is the biggest piece of shit in the world. As bad as she is, chances are her kids, one, don't want to go to foster care, and two, they end up in foster care. Chances are they're better off with Jackie. Let's be real. Let's be real. Please, 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 do not mess with Jackie's kids. Just don't. Don't. And I know there are people like, I would never dream of doing that. That's fine. If you don't dream of doing it, fine. But if you're one of those people that think, well, man, it'd be funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. Don't. Just don't. Don't. There's no evidence that Jackie is abusive to her kids. And again, the idea that if you're going to take somebody's kids away who have IRS debt, the number of kids that are going to get flooded into foster care will literally overload the system. I know I'm being overly dramatic. I know there are people going out there like, why is this a big deal? Like, for the love of God, just think of it from my perspective, okay? Like, it's a sensitive thing. This is like somebody saying to a Ukrainian, well, why don't you just want Russia to take over? And it's like, what? I'm just not doing that. Like, no, I can't. It's the same kind of thing. Like, please, 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 please. You want to fuck with Jackie online? That's one thing. I like to fuck with Jackie online. I think she's a piece of shit. But, like, don't even think about messing with her kids, because that's the kind of shit that Jackie would do.
For many on the O&A forums and Kiwi farms, this is seen as just desserts for a vindictive, mentally ill woman who has targeted innocent people in her path of destruction and online idiocy. Jackie pretends to have moral superiority, even though she doxes innocent people, was previously involved in a racist hacker group, carries over $250,000 in credit card debt.
Jackie's a piece of shit, but her kids aren't. That's the end of the day. Jackie's a piece of shit, her kids aren't. And whether you want to be around Jackie or not, doesn't matter. Her kids want to. So please, for the love of God, if I can't even imagine what the Puerto Rican foster care system is like. I just can't.
And hasn't paid income taxes. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if she loses custody of her children eventually, just like Patrick did. However, that is...
I will say this. Somebody that was in the foster care system and my parents abandoned me. I know Patrick has this fantasy in his head that his daughter is going to be at like a used bookstore or something and see one of his novels that he dedicated to his daughter, and she's just going to show up and it's like, Daddy, I'm home. And they're going to reestablish a relationship. Pat, that's not what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Now, for me, I contacted my parents after I got blown up by an IED. But what is more likely is going to happen with your daughter is she's going to have like her first physical as an adult, probably around the age of 22. Her doctor's going to say, hey, does your parents have any kind of medical history that I should know about? And what's going to end up happening is her real dad she's going to bring up the fact that he died at a relatively young age. And the doctor's going to go, oh, wow, okay, what did he die from? And she's going to tell him, so, okay, he was your biological father. And that's when it's going to click in her head. And she's, oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, he's my father, but he's not my biological father. And the doctor, of course, man or woman's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't need to open up any painful wounds or anything. But do you know who your biological father is? And she's probably going to say, yes, I know he's alive, but I have no contact with him. And the doctor, because doctors have to deal with this all the time, the doctor's going to go, right, look, I'm not trying to say that you need to reestablish any kind of relationship or anything, but it would behoove you if you could talk to him about his medical history. And so that's going to be the thing where she's like, oh, crap. Okay. And she's going to put it off. She's going to put it off for a while, probably 2 or 3 months. 2 or 3 months. And finally, she's going to get the nerve, the courage, not necessarily the courage, but just like, oh, God. All right, I'm going to do this. Contact mom. Mom's going to be like, oh, yeah, this is his number. Go ahead and do it. And she's going to do it. And as soon as Pat figures out first of all, Pat's going to probably block her and tell her to go to prison or something. And she's going to be like, no, I'm your biological daughter. What is this? Why am I going to prison as a stalker kind of thing? I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. There's these trolls that mess with me. All right, I don't care. Listen, do you have any kind of genetic diseases or disorders I need to worry about? And Patrick is going to let that go in one ear and right out the other, and he's going to try to reestablish your relationship. That's what always happens. That happened to me. Where my mother thought that because I was contacting her in the hospital, because I had a doctor asking me about my medical history, my biological medical history, that somehow we were going to reconnect and everything was going to be hunky-dory and shit. I was like, no, that's not what this is. I need to get information out of you about this, this, and this. If you're not willing to do that, fine. I'll see you at your funeral, kind of thing. And deadbeat parents don't like this. And Pat is a deadbeat parent. He is in for this. This is what he's going to get. And in his head, he's going to have this fantasy, like the movies, that it's not going to work out this way. It's going to work out this way, Pat. It's going to. Because you abandoned your fucking kid. And this is how us kids that get abandoned, this is how we compensate. This is how we deal with it. This is how we accept it. And you can't just expect us to show back up 20 years later like, oh, all's forgiven. Like, no, it's not. It's absolutely not. Sorry, I went off on a rant. I'm obviously inserting a lot of my own screwed up childhood into this video.
It is all just my opinion. Of course, this bankruptcy reveal was widely celebrated by O&A forums and Kiwi Farms users, with infamous O&A forums troll-turned-podcaster Dan Mullen even going live to briefly cover the story.
Jackie Singh, I don't know, I won't say it's over, because it's like a horror movie when Michael Myers or Jason, you think you killed him, and then they come back from the dead. Thanks, hey Stalin, one of my favorite Clippers. Yeah, we've been making it rain. I had a feeling something was coming down this week. There's some other stuff that still might come out, but this is pretty good. How has she gone down? This is going to help her. Well, it's going to help. Let me tell you how this is going to help. Number one, she still owes the IRS. You don't get out of that. Bankruptcy is it's putting a bandage on a bullet wound. All right. It's what. Yes, it helps her, I guess, financially to get out of her hole. But now she's exposed to the world as a fucking fraud. Every job that she ever goes for now will know about this. Oh, by the way, her ex-husband, as he looks to get full custody of their oldest daughter, can now show that she's a financially irresponsible individual. So, well, I don't know. You know, maybe I'll ask the chat. Do you guys think this is a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe it's to me, it just opens up for the world. Now it's just like Patrick with his arrest record. Now the Jackie bankrupt paper, it's out there. It's not going away. I guess maybe it's a net positive for her, but she, you know, bankruptcy, everybody thinks bankruptcy is just like a get out of jail free card. It's not. It just exposes you for everything that you've done, every financial mistake you've made. And also it's going to impact her ability to be able to have her kids. Oh, by the way, she's still hiding money through NFTs and crypto, and we're going to get that too. So, in fact, I might be working with the bankruptcy lawyers. Wink, wink. We're making a call to Puerto Rico tomorrow. Now that I know who all the lawyers are involved, I'm going to be giving them every piece of information I have about Jackie. If she's hiding any assets, we're going to find them. If she's lying in court, if she's lying under oath, or if she's perjuring herself, we're going to get her. She's going down, and she's going to fucking pay for everything that she's done, for the people she's hurt. She's attacked and hurt lots of people. Go on Pee-wee Farms today. There's some people that have talked about what Jackie has done to them. We're going. This is not the end. This is the beginning. This is the beginning.
All right, I'm going to cut off what I think is Dan talking very frantically. I want to be very clear. I think Jackie is a horrible person and so on. I do think that in America, we should, as a society, strip away a lot of the stigma towards bankruptcy. I think it's unfair to look at people that declare bankruptcy and just assume that they're bad people. A lot of small businesses go under. A lot of them do. Through no fault of the small business owner. And more importantly, a lot of Americans lose their shirt because of a medical emergency. This is a very, very, very frustrating thing I run into as somebody who's an advocate for veterans. I will have guys that, because of their mom got into a serious medical issue and their mom is floating a monstrous amount of medical debt. And it's one of those things where it's like, look, man, I've gone through the numbers with you and all. If she would just declare bankruptcy so we could get her head out from underwater, and I will have guys that are like, no, you declared bankruptcy, that means you're a deadbeat. It's like, no, your mother got a gallstone. Your mother, who's been working at a widget factory for 40 fucking years, got a gallstone. And in between her shifts, she got a surgery. And because she didn't have the right insurance, she got charged $190,000 for a procedure that could have been done outpatient because she's not a bad person. She got fucked over by the system. I run into this a lot. I run into this a lot where I'm visiting families and households where the veteran I'm trying to help out, the household that they're trying to hold together and stuff, it's involved with a lot of bad, medical debt, student debt. There was one young lady, oh my Lord, it was just depressing as can be. This household, she had just gotten out of the military, trying to go to school. There was four generations in her household. Basically, it was the grandmother who was still working at a fucking, what is it called? Waffle House. Grandmother is still working at the Waffle House part-time. The veteran's parents are both addicts in and out of prison because of Oxycontin. They were both fent heads. Then it was the veteran who was the oldest of 4 kids. And meantime, she's trying to be the main household breadwinner for this family. And there's 2 grandkids that everyone's trying to live in this trailer home that could comfortably fit maybe 3 people. Because the big thing was they were floating so much medical debt from both of the deadbeat parents and from the grandmother. And I'm like, I'm talking to the veteran. This is how they need to file for bankruptcy. No, we're not going to do that. Why? What we have is our word. Our word is our bond. We're not going to, if it's like, you guys are getting screwed, you're getting screwed. Like, literally, this is almost a scam by the banks and insurance companies. Like, I'm talking to the vet. It's like, it's the only way. It's the only way for your house. Because I would sit there with the household budget, and I'm watching as like 70% of the household income is servicing this bullshit medical debt. And it's like, oh, God damn it. But the family had pride. They were like, nope, we're not deadbeats. Yeah, but like, what payments you can make is doing nothing towards principal. You're not even making the monthly payments where you don't make the principal. So the principal is increasing constantly. And it took me like 3 or 4 months of working with this young lady, this veteran, before finally she's like, all right, we're going to try to, like, I'm going to talk to my grandma about this. And the grandma was good. I sat down with the grandma. Like, she was a mensch. She baked a pie for me when I showed up. She was lovely. God, the veteran's parents were awful. They were just like my parents, like stealing daughter's identity and all this screwed up shit. Eventually, we got things a lot better. Unfortunately, the veteran never got to go to college. But thankfully now you can transfer your GI Bill benefits to a family member, and she transferred that to her youngest brother, and he ended up going into trade school as an electrician, and their family's doing a lot better. But it was just one of those things where, like, I was fighting with that whole stigma about declaring bankruptcy. And I just, because this is a family, other than the 2 parents, this is a family that did nothing wrong. The grandmother she was a wonderful woman. Wonderful woman. I miss her. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
As you can see, Dan and the O&A forms appear to have turned the tables on Jackie and Patrick, racking up win after win against these 2 diseased lol cows. It seems the narrative has shifted dramatically, leaving Jackie and Patrick on the defensive as they struggle to maintain their credibility. With each revelation and legal setback, their public image continues to deteriorate. While Jackie and Patrick attempt to portray themselves as victims, the evidence against them mounts, painting a picture of desperation. Their supporters are dwindling, and the once sympathetic audience now seems to revel in their misfortunes. The fallout from these events is likely to have lasting repercussions on their personal lives, potentially impacting their relationships and future endeavors. The question remains, how much further will they sink as the tide continues to turn against them?
I'm probably going to close it here. I will say this: what Cryptic Chronicles is saying is absolutely right. One of the things that bugs me that Patrick and Jackie tries to do is they try to paint anyone that questions their goals or their actions or anything like that. Anyone that does that is like this crazy alt-right neo-Nazi, which I'm very, very careful about not talking about my politics. Anyone that follows me on Twitter, you get an idea about my politics. And I don't try to be in the face about it. I don't talk about my politics on my YouTube channel. I I try to stay away from that because I know it'll alienate a lot of people. I will tell you this right now. If you think Varney is like a hardcore liberal, talk to me. I'm practically a Wadi, or like I'm very, very left wing. And so for me, when they try to make this argument that anyone ever tries to like question their goals and their antics, and both of them try to say, "Oh, well, you're a right-wing neo-Nazi." It's like, at least for me, like, no, I'm not. I'm the opposite of that motherfucker. Like, Patrick, I'm always calling out the fact that you're homophobic and misogynist. Like, literally, like, I'm pointing out the fact that a lot of what you say would be considered to be hard right, except for you're stupid. And you don't even have like any kind of ethos to justify what you're saying. So you're not hard right, you're just stupid. But I digress. I hope everyone's doing better. I am going to go lay down because I have been upright for way too long. I'm probably going to regret this in the morning. I'm going to try to sleep off these pills before the wife and the kid come back. Take care, everybody. Bye.